Okay, so we're going to finish up this page here, and I already put my covers on most of my waterfall pieces. I have one more to put on, so we're going to do that, and I would like to put these little scrap pieces there. So let's do the center piece first. I've already inked all the edges, and I just like to cover up this in between the pages when it's pretty thick, and just to give a little decorative flavor here. So make sure that you're not getting into the creases, otherwise it'll fold up on you. See how that's laying flat? That's what you want. You want to make sure that your piece lays flat. Okay, and then we're going to put on either side of our waterfall, and also this will kind of help us to line up our waterfall, because normally when I do a waterfall, I like to use striped up and down striped papers, and that really helps me to keep my waterfall straight. But in this case, there's not really any striped papers in this collection, so this is my alternative, and this will help me kind of line up my waterfall when we get ready to place it down. So just use a little bit of glue. I'm going to make sure this is even. Okay. So this way it'll give it a little bit of a decorative touch here. And then, oh, okay, let's go ahead and glue this piece down. So our last little waterfall piece. And all I did was take my leftover scraps and just pick different papers to do this portion. So I tried not to cut any big pieces. I just used the smallest pieces that I could find so I could conserve paper. So you just want to consider that as you're selecting the pieces for like a small waterfall like this. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so I think we're ready to install the waterfall, and I've already kind of selected like the order that I want these prints in, and I think I like that. That gives a variety. So you have your roses, and then a green and a red, and like a white and a red and another green, and I think that'll look nice in the book. So what I like to do on my waterfall, I like to turn it this way because I'm going to be working this direction. Okay, so these are all in order already the way I want them. I'm going to pick the top one, and I'm going to center it in between my two bars here that I just glued down. I'm going to bring it down just slightly. Don't go all the way to the top. And we'll just take a little glue, not too much. Okay. And we're going to try to make it even on both sides. paper towel here. Alright, so it's even from the top. Make sure it's even on the sides. I'm just going to let that dry a second. And that's our first waterfall piece. And I eyeball it. You can measure if you'd like. But I think that looks pretty good for the most part. You know, it's not always perfect, but it's okay. Alright, so then I'll take the next one and we're going to bump this one up along the side of that. Okay, so I'm going to get some more glue. And you can use tape if you prefer. I like to use the glue because it gives me shifting time and room. So this is going to go right here. I'm going to bump that up. Make sure it's straight, both sides. Take off any excess. Now, if you want, you can put a strip of decorative paper along here also, and we may do that. We'll see what it looks like in the end. So we just do one at a time like this. So I'll do the next one. I did use 110-pound cardstock on this waterfall. Normally, I would suggest to use 65-pound weight on your waterfall because that will give you more room. This is on the front cover, so I don't think I'll have a problem with it, you know, like being too thick, because I do have quite a bit of margin there. And then something else I haven't thought of until just now is maybe a magnetic. I think we may make a piece at the end to hold this closed. So maybe I'll do that before I glue the last one on. Bump that up right next to the other one. Make sure we're straight. Get rid of any excess glue. And they're all in line. You want to keep checking it as you're going down, as you add the next one. You want to make sure you're checking that they're all lined up. That's why this helps. And then even if like I just had a striped piece of paper as my backing, that always helps too, you know. But this helps because I put those borders in there. It just gives me a little extra guidance, you know. Okay, we'll bump this one up. And make sure it's in line. Get rid of the extra glue. So just do one at a time. So in this case, your pictures could go here, or you could put your pictures on top, or you could do both. So okay, and then the last one. Okay. I'm wondering about a closure, if I'm going to need something. Let's take a look. I will do a closure on the outside. It does flop a little bit. So, I've already got my paper down, so, okay. Let me think about a closure for this, and maybe a ribbon. I should have put the ribbon in before. See, I would have normally put in the ribbon before I started gluing all these down. So let me think about a closure for this, if I'm going to use a magnet, or if I want to, before I glue this last one on. And let me think about that a little bit. And it's kind of late. I'm getting tired, so I'm going to go ahead and take a break, and we will resume this. We're almost done, and then we can do the front and back covers. So I'll be back with you guys shortly. Thank you for joining me. This is Diane with Pretty Fun Stuff. Okay, you guys, so when I last left you guys, I had put this waterfall in, and I made the mistake of not putting a closure before I laid down my flaps. So when you do yours, make sure before you lay down your waterfall, you put a piece of paper down. Put maybe a ribbon like this down, and then you put your paper over it. This paper, like the red, put that over it, and then on top of that you want to start your waterfall. Okay, so I made the mistake of not putting a closure. This is pretty flappy. I did not put magnets. You could do a magnet with a strip and do like a magnet closure. You could definitely do that. So for me, this particular album, I found this ribbon. I'm going to put this on the front before I put my paper down on the front. I'm going to lay this down so that I can tie. And I don't know if this will wear over time. It may. I don't really like this idea, but I don't have any other choice. This is what I've got to work with because I've already glued everything down. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my ribbon, lay my ribbon on the front, and then I'll have a closure. So I glued all my flaps down, which is where I left you guys. And I think I want to put, I can't decide if I want this side here. I think I want the birds. I think I like that better. So I think I'm going to put that down. I've already inked the edges. So I'm going to glue this down. And then I also am going to glue a decorative piece. Like I have all these little scraps left over. So I'm going to cut strips to go into each one of these. Just as a decorative. Element. Okay, we're almost done with this book. All the inside has been finished. So I'm gonna glue this down. I got a little glue here. My glue's kind of leaked out a little bit, so pardon me while I pause to clean that up. Okay. So we are going to put that down. Okay. Now, Okay. So now I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix my problem here. So I am going to take my ribbon, eyeball it in the center. I'm going to take some tape here. Well, let's see. I'm just lining it up on my mat. Let's see if I can straighten you out a little bit. All right. Find the ends here. And let's see. So 1, 2, 2. So my center is going to be right about here. I just want to get a little bit of this down so that the lace will hold. Yep. That's just about right. Okay. So now I'm going to make sure my lace is even. My ribbon is even. So I'm going to fold it. Okay. That's the center right here. So I'm going to put that down. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, you know. I don't measure everything. It's exhausting to have to measure everything, but that's about 3. That's about 3. So we're looking pretty good there. So I'm just gonna lay this down and see. Now it's attached, so it's gonna come over the other side, and I'm gonna put my designer paper over this because this is gonna be the cover. Okay, so let's flip it over, and I'm gonna tie it. So this holds my waterfall down. Now, when you do yours, you're going to do the same thing, but then you're going to put your paper down. Okay? So you're just going to lay your... So imagine this isn't here, and it's just your white front cover. You're going to center your ribbon and put it down on the inside of the front cover. Then you're going to take your red or whatever paper you're going to cover it with. You're going to place that on top of your ribbon. And then your ribbon will actually come down here. It'll come through right here instead of over the book like mine does. So that'll take care of that. Another option, and I'm sure you've seen other designers do this. You can cut a piece of paper, cut a piece of cardstock, and actually mount your waterfall on a separate sheet of cardstock, and then it's like just a whole waterfall in your hand, and then you can just glue that into your book. That's an idea too. All right, so now I've got my closure for my waterfall. All right, so the inside of the book is finished. We've done everything. The only thing I would like to do is add lace and embellishments, and instead of doing a whole tutorial of gluing all the lace and everything, I think I'm just gonna do that off camera and then show y'all at the end, because that's all, you could see like where I put lace and whatnot. You can see all that as I know y'all know how to glue in lace and embellishments and cut aparts and die cuts and stuff like that. So here I am going to, I want to put this red down, I think, first. And this measures 7 3/4. So I'm going to trim this. I do want somewhat of a border. So cut this down 7 3/4. So I think I'm going to cut it at 7 5/8. Let's see how that's going to look. Yeah. So I think I'm going to do that. Okay. So I have a little bit of white. I'm going to trim just 1/8 of an inch off. Just so I have a little bit more white showing. Okay, here we go. And see, you do see the ribbon, but it's not totally obvious. And once I get embellishments, roses, and the designer paper, you're not really going to notice. And then I'm going to have a flap coming over the side. Also, right here, before I glue this down, I want to put another piece of lace for my closure. So I've got another piece of this. And I am going, not lace, ribbon. And this is like an organza ribbon. So I'm going to place this here. I just want to make sure I have enough. I like ribbon for this because it's it's expandable. So I'm going to trim a little bit of this off because it doesn't need to be that long. Okay, so that's extra. Alright, so there's my ribbon. So again, I'm going to find the center. Get my tape. And I'm going to put this down. So 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Okay, so it's going to be right about in there. So I'm just eyeballing it. Now once the paper is down, then that holds it also. Holds it in place. Okay, and then we're going to flip it over and I'm going to do the back. Okay. None of this is hard. It's a little time consuming, but none of this is like hard or anything. Okay, so next we are going to, just want to kind of measure and make sure that's about right. 3.5. Okay, I need to bring my ribbon down some. Okay, just so I kind of know where it's gonna go. So I want to make sure it's going to be even. Sorry I bumped the camera. I'm evening out my ribbon now. And then I'm just going to lightly press it. And then I'm going to measure and just make sure it's kind of 3 1/4. Nope, it needs to come down a little bit. See, this is where you can adjust it to make sure it's more even. See, that's a lot more even. 3 1/2. Yeah, it's close enough for me. Okay, so that's where I want my ribbon. So that's pretty even on the book. I'm going to flip it over and we're going to do this side and then the back the same way. And then of course, when I place my designer paper down, I will use glue and that will hold that in place. So again, I kind of want to measure just to make sure I'm pretty close. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect for me. Okay. All right, there we go. So now my ribbon is on for my closure. You don't want to forget that part, and then my ends are pretty even. You just want to make sure your ends are even and it's evenly placed. And I'm going to take this red, and my blades need to be changed on my cutter. Alright, so I'm going to place this red over the top. I'm going to come out there we go. Come out just a little bit for you guys. Okay, so we're going to put this here. And this is just some cardstock I had in my stash that matches this collection. So I would always recommend to use some solid colors with your collection. Just kind of break up all the design. Some collections come with a coordinating solid color cardstock. I would recommend, you know, if you can afford it, go ahead and buy that so that you have the cardstock that matches the collection. Alright, so this is on the front cover, and before I lay down my designer paper, you want to make sure your book is facing the right direction. You don't want it upside down. So the next thing I'm going to place is my pattern paper. So this, I just want a thin red line because I'm going to cover part of this. Just want a thin red. For me, I like an 1/8 of an inch. Some people like a more color. So I think I want it about right there. I think that looks pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this, and it says 7.5. So I'm going to cut the top off because I don't want to cut any of this bottom part off. So I'm going to cut the top. So right about 7.5 is where I measured. So I'm going to come in 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and I'm going to trim that. And here we go. So there is my cover. So I am going to slightly ink the edges just a little bit. I don't want to do it over my paper. This is all I'm doing. I'm just going like this. I just don't want to do it over my book because I could get little shavings. These makeup brushes, these makeup corners, after some time they do come off and you get little like just little beads of it fall off. I don't like that. But I haven't quite got used to one of these yet. So I'm working on it. You know, you start off doing something and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to switch it up. Okay, so I'm going to just place this down where I want it. And I think I'm going to add some flowers to this too. And then of course I cut this out from the paper collection. I think I'm going to back it with some 110-pound cardstock and cut that out. I definitely want that kind of as the title. And then I'm probably going to do like a little rose collage, some flowers. And I'm going to use this paper to come around and wrap my spine. And then I'm going to use this rose paper on the back cover. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will, whenever I wrap this, I will record that part so that you can see how that's done. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish putting the rose paper on the back. And I'm going to do this part. And when I get ready to wrap this, that's whenever I'm going to start recording again. Because I don't think you need to see me putting down. You've seen me put down paper. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay. Okay. All right. So you guys, I'm back. So I placed my designer paper on the front. Left a little bit of border. I'm not worrying about this because we're going to cover that up in a minute. Then on the back, all I did was place the red and then place the roses. So you don't have to use the rose. You can use whatever paper in the collection you want to use, okay? This is just what I'm doing on my book. Now, I did thicken this up a little bit. I outlined it a little bit of red. Bussy cut it out and put some white cardstock so it's pretty thick. And I think I'm going to pop it up and put it over here in this corner. And then I'm going to do some kind of rose, maybe with a bow. We'll see what happens there. But on this, I wanted to wrap this. So I cut this piece here. It is right at about 6 1/8 by 7 1/2, just a little bit over 7 1/2. Now I saved this piece, so this came from here, and then this bottom piece is where that was like this. Okay, so this is what I cut out. So I saved this for embellishments. I didn't want to cut that up. So you always want to, when you're cutting your papers, you always want to look before you cut and make sure you don't want to cut something out that you might want to use later. So this is going to go now. Once you get this cut, you want about 1 inch overhang. You want to make sure it's even. And you want to kind of just play with it and kind of just mold it. So I want to center it here. I'm kind of using the lines as a guide. And just kind of want to kind of mold my paper so that it's kind of used to being bent that way. I don't want to score it on my score. I just want to kind of massage it and just get it, see how it's kind of shaping itself as I do that. Okay, I just don't want to score that. I just want to mold it and see how it's coming over and lapping over my front. Now I do plan on putting some lace here and probably also on the back. But I mainly wanted that on the side. I wanted that design. So I think it's ready. I am going to, you know what, I'm not going to ink this one because it's going to be on the white, and I don't want any of the ink to bleed on my white book. So I'm not going to ink the edges of this. Okay, I'm going to turn my fan off just because I don't want the glue drying too quickly. I'm just going to place my glue. Make sure I get it good on the edges. Oops. Well, not on the edge. Diane. Okay. I'll put a little bit of glue here all over the paper. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, now and what I like to do is just kind of place it on there, and then I'm going to shift it where I want it, because you do get that shifting time. Make sure it's even on the top. Okay. And then you also okay, it is going to come. I'm going to show a little bit of red. As long as it's even, I'm happy. I'm fine with it. Plus, I'm going to have lace on there. So, I'm just going to let it lay where it wants to go. Okay. And just kind of play with it a little bit. I may need to add a little bit more glue. We'll see. You just kind of see, it's going down. Just kind of gotta massage it and all right. So my spine is done. Okay. So that pretty much completes laying all the papers down in the book. I am going to kind of start embellishing it. I don't think I'm gonna talk through this. I think maybe I'll just kind of, because I'm gonna be laying down lace and whatnot, maybe I'll record it and just fast forward it through it. But yeah, that's the book pretty much done. So you can see there's the inside. So we have this, we have our waterfall, our little tuck spot, and I'll make a few more photo mounts to go in there. I think I'm going to put some lace here, and I'm going to definitely put some lace here to break that up. I may put a few embellishments in here, maybe fussy cut some of the pieces of the papers. I am going to make some photo mounts to go in the pockets. Here's a pocket, so I'll probably put some photo mounts there. I may decide to embellish some of this, not sure yet. And then we have this, and then I'll definitely make some photo mounts here. And we have this. I may put some little tuck spots in there, not sure yet. So, and I'll definitely put some photo mounts here in this pocket. So that's pretty much it. The rest of it is just decorating how you would like to decorate your album. Everybody likes something different, you know. Somebody might just want to put some lace on here and call it done. You know, I may put some flowers. I have these graphic 45. I may add some flowers to it, and then put some white like paint on them and make it look like frozen roses, like the book. So what I'll do is the next thing that you'll see, I think, is just a final walkthrough of the album. So I'll do a final video with the lace and all the embellishments. So anyway, you guys, I hope you liked this decorating, and be sure to check the description box below, and you will find the tutorial on how to make just the album plain by itself with no designer paper. And so anyway, this is Diane with Pretty Fun Stuff YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this. I want to thank photobella.com for sending me this beautiful Frozen Roses paper. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And thanks again. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.